Here, this is what you're gonna look like.
They're your
headphones.
Cool.
That,
Nope. That's awesome. Do I get a
Yeah, you just.
Yeah, that's all you.
hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
Perfect.
Ah, man.
cool.
All right, let's-
And whenever you're ready.
You good, Mike?
I'm good. How do you say your last name again?
Koursaris.
I'm just not gonna say it.
Koursaris.
I mean, I'm probably the only Stefanos you know.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. I am Evan Balmer,
What's going on, everyone? I'm Rick Mercia.
and today we are joined by Stefanos Koursaris from Priority Payment Systems. Check out Stefanos online at trusttheprocessing.com. He's got an Instagram at the name is _Stefanos, Stefanos, and also he's setting up at Trust the Processing. Stefanos, what's going on?
Nothing
What's
much, guys.
cooking?
Honored to be on. I appreciate it.
That's cool. So what's the story with payment processing?
So what we do is we are a super ISO. So what we do basically in basic terms is we make it possible for businesses to accept credit cards. So we set them up with fees. We can actually help businesses save money by lowering their fees. And what we do, why a lot of businesses choose to go with us, is because we do provide the best fee or the best rates that they can pay,
Right.
just so that they can pass the word along to their customers. It's fully transparent, just so that they're like, look, this is what this company does for us. They could do it for you, and vice versa. And not just saving them money, helping them operationally, and it's
Right.
it's really a good business to be with.
That's cool.
And as far as our customer service and everything go, it's basically like a family. Like
Awesome.
any kind of business that we process for, they meet Nadine. Josh is in the office. It's just awesome. So
Where's your office at?
so our main pricing, implementation, customer service, it's all in Red Bank,
Okay.
right on Mama Street.
Right.
And then me and Cliff Green, the vice president of sales at the time, he's now the president over in Asbury. We opened up our office in Asbury,
Nice.
and that's
That's the spot right there.
That's
Yeah.
where it's at. I mean, Asbury's up. I mean, I know a lot of people say like Asbury's coming up, all that. It's up.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Asbury is the spot to be. Like I walk out of the office on a Thursday or Friday, people are walking around, going to lunch and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like families are walking around. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
Right.
And Asbury, you know, your
Yeah.
office is right down the street from me.
There's a lot going on. It's
It's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is cool. So are most of your clients around Monmouth County area?
Well, we are actually the 5th largest credit card processor in the United States.
Wow.
So we do over 260,000 businesses nationwide
Nice.
and process over $35 billion annually now.
That's insane.
But the best part is for local businesses is we're local.
Right.
Our office is right in Red Bank. Our underwriting and everything is down in Georgia,
Hmm.
but our office is right in Red Bank. So anything happens with your terminal or anything like that, you're giving me a call, you're giving Nadine a call.
Right.
On a Saturday night, I'm there to help you out, and I'll transfer whatever you have to get done, and we take care of it.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's cool. So is for you personally then, is your focus like Jersey businesses? Or do you have a territory?
My niche has kind of naturally become restaurants.
Okay.
I love helping restaurants out.
Right.
Cliff knows everything inside and out about the dealership industry.
Okay.
Knows everything. We do a lot of major dealerships around here. Santone's Auto Mall, I'm sure you know about.
Right.
Contemporary Motorsports, Mercedes, Circle BMW. The list goes on, but
So people dropping their black card for a Benz.
exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
That's
So it's
cool.
done. So I wanted to ask you guys. I know you guys are always asking the questions.
No,
and-
whoa.
Not allowed to do that.
That's right.
I want to ask why you guys wanted to do this. Why did you guys start this podcast?
Well,
'Cause I feel like you guys have never answered that on here. You
That's
may
true.
have.
I don't
but
think so.
I want to see why you guys started it.
yeah. Originally, I wanted to do credit card processing in restaurants.
Oh yeah.
And then you blocked me out of that industry.
Damn.
So I was like, I got to look to get into something else. Oddly enough, I mean, for me, it started. I mean, I have a entertainment background, so I'm always interested in media
Hey,
and
you got your
technology,
band?
all that good stuff, right? I was actually working on. I have a roommate, my roommate from college, just a dude I randomly got assigned to. We became really good friends. And way back in the day, we started an email newsletter, like when email was pretty new, called the Music Business Daily. And we got to a point where we actually were doing like a newsletter for when, like, I don't even remember what year it was. It was in the 90s at some point. Like Woodstock was having an anniversary thing. We were like the email newsletter for the Woodstock Festival. Like we got fairly big, but then it just kind of, we both took careers and went different ways or whatever. So for years and years and years, we were always like, we got to do a podcast. He's in Virginia. I'm up here. We were always talking about doing it. And he sent me this thing. He's like, it was a podcast in a box. He's like, buy this and we're going to do like a music podcast or something. Actually, we have like a million different topics of podcasts we're going to do. I was trying to set it up and couldn't figure out parts of it. And then like magically one day, Ming Chen appeared at a LaTip meeting. And he was like, I have this studio called A Shared Universe.
Oh, you were LaTip too?
He popped in.
Yeah, he came as a guest.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Ming was talking about A Shared Universe, and I was like, man, the timing is perfect. Like, I got to check this place out. So we came in, took the class, which I highly recommend. Like, actually, I know another guy took the class yesterday and already has a podcast out. So I would, without a doubt, say come down to A Shared Universe if you're interested in it. Take this, how to do a podcast class. I mean, for us,
this class like taught you how to ask questions. And
dude, we sat down with Ming and he taught us like some tricks of the trade and literally had a podcast online like
Yeah,
immediately. Like the dude that did it yesterday,
Mikey,
Mikey
he
T.
me, yeah.
Right. So Mikey T, he's like, check out my podcast. Like he came in and did the class and I fired it up. Oh, nice. Here's his gear in here. I listened to it last night. I'm like, dude, that does not sound like your first. Like, you literally learned about podcasting and did one, and you sound awesome. It was cool. So I mean, that's how I, So it was like kind of so we did that class, and we had this idea for the MulletCast, like not just to be a straight up like, all right, we're interested in meeting business owners, but like for you, right? Like we could talk about credit card processing and stuff, but I want to know, like, which I know you have a lot of other interests, right? Like, you're going to be a real estate magnate, like, you got a lot of like interest in investing, So I wanted to learn more about like what makes people tick, as opposed to, tell me about your business.
Exactly.
So we kind of ran with it, and I'll let Mike tell his side of the story.
It's a great like avenue and kind of the way you get into it, where it's not just like someone's business, like someone's got a whole nother side of them that they want to get out.
Right.
And podcast is a perfect opportunity for that, especially in 2018.
100%. I mean, I got into it. Well, one, I'm a big Joe Rogan guy. I listen to Joe Rogan all the
We
time.
were talking about that the other day.
Yeah,
I love Rogan. Oh wait, are we?
Yeah, you could curse.
on
You just
that?
gotta
Okay,
put, you gotta
just want to make sure.
put a quarter in there. So I've been listening to Joe Rogan for a while, and I got used to listening to podcasts when I work out in the morning, whenever it may be. Then Ming came to our LaTip group, and Evan brought up the idea that he wanted to start a podcast, and you had the equipment, and you said you didn't know how to put any of it together, and Ming invited us in, and we had a 2-hour learning session. I was hooked. I had so much fun that first session.
Yeah, it was cool.
And pretty much what Evan said was, just like, Evan's an attorney, but he's a really interesting guy with the music background. I'm a mortgage guy, but I try to be as little as a sales mortgage rep as I could, and try to be just like a local housing advisor, just a normal guy. So when Evan said that the MulletCast and the way he explained it, I said that's great, because I want to meet other people who are working hard, who are local, who are professionals, but also have a human side. And it's hard to get someone over a cup of coffee when I cold call them to open up. But when you invite them to a cool studio like here, people are just comfortable, and the conversation flows, and it's a cool way to see that other side.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Totally. So, what about you? Why are you interested in podcasting?
One day, I was driving. So, the reason I just asked you guys why you guys got into podcasting is because I have a natural interest in why people get into what they do as well. It just kind of sort of happens. Everybody I come across, I ask them why they're doing what they're doing, if they're happy.
Right.
Ask the hard questions. I mean, a lot of people say they're happy, but I never really know, and I just try to see like what their true passion is.
Right.
And I'm driving one day. I'm like, I gotta start a podcast. I gotta invite people, see what gets them taken.
Right.
Just like you guys were saying.
Yep.
And I just think it'd be a great idea. I love Rogan.
Yeah.
Always listen to Rogan.
You gotta get on that.
Yeah,
You gotta-
totally.
Wait, you don't listen to him?
Not so much. I mean, I listen to a bunch of stuff. I always feel like my time is limited, man. It's like,
Yeah.
before,
Oh my
you got
God,
like a
yeah.
stack of things to listen to.
Exactly.
But I will fire it up more.
Yeah, I listen to like Bigger Pockets. I don't know if you're on that.
Yep.
Bigger Pockets is awesome. Awesome podcast. Tony Robbins podcast. I listen to everything.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cool. My favorite answer I ever got when I asked someone like how they got to where they were, we were in law school and there was a reception for a guy who was like a district court, like U.S. federal judge, like older guy, really cool. And he was talking about how I think he had this weird career path where he did like personal injury law, believe it or not, and then he ended up being like a federal judge. But, you know, I asked him like how he got into personal injury, like originally, like coming out of law school, and he just looked at me and he's like, serendipity. I was like, that's the greatest
great.
answer I've ever
Just
heard. man.
one word.
Right.
That's great.
But I think the more people you talk to, you kind of find like they sort of just things happen and fall into stuff. Like very
And it's so cool to hear people's stories.
right.
And really dig into like how they got to where they're at right now.
Yeah.
And really learn about people and some of their failures, what got them to succeed
Yep.
in life. And
Yeah.
I mean,
So I'll promote an upcoming episode. Ming is a guest on upcoming MulletCast. He has one of the greatest like stories of how he ended
I
up
wanna hear it.
where he is today. So I would definitely tune in for that one. That's a cool one.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is that coming out this week?
It's in the. I think it's still in the editing process.
Okay. Yeah. Some copyright issues.
That's
Or...
right. You know, Ming's foul mouth is being heavily edited, and he's redacting some things and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
So, what is it you like about working with restaurants? Let's get back to your little processing kind of stuff. You like the
because-
free meals, don't you?
Oh, I love it. Love it. I just started to get into that niche with a lot of my first clients. And it really just sort of happened naturally. I started to learn more about the restaurant industry, just like Cliff. Cliff learned everything about the automotive industry. He's
Right.
naturally into cars. I'm naturally into food, just like we all are.
Right.
Love to eat.
And restaurants are a place where I guess there are some industries where you're still kind of pitching people like you should accept credit cards, but like
Yeah,
it's a
but a
natural.
lot of-
Like every restaurant pretty
Yeah.
much takes a card.
A
you know?
lot of barbershops are
Mine's cash only.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an
Exactly.
ATM in mine.
They put an ATM in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you go to Red Bank?
nah.
No. House of Fades.
yeah, you guys got to check out Kono's Cuts.
Where's that?
Oh my God, Millstone,
Okay.
awesome play. You would love it. It's really a cool environment. Anthony's the man. He started it himself. He's getting into real estate investing as well.
There you go.
I'm actually going to get a cut today.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a good guy though.
That's cool.
Gotta check him out.
We'll pop in down at Swagger and Blade in Asbury. Let them know that you process credit cards and you should start
Yeah,
taking
I mean, the thing is with a lot of businesses, the reason they don't want to accept cards is they don't want to pay the fees.
Right.
And that I get that absolutely, but the amount of money that you're losing out on and the amount of profit and revenue that you're missing out on, the fees are dropping the bucket.
Right. So you're paying like what?
Especially in 2018.
Exactly, like 1% or something, is it?
Well,
or
it
is it
all
less?
depends. It all depends on the business.
Right.
So
But right, if you're losing sales, like that actually happened to me. I was at a coffee place and I literally had no money on me, which I think
Exactly.
is more and more common. People walk around with money, without
Yeah.
money, and they had a $5, or $10 minimum charge or something, and I was buying like one coffee, and they're like, "Sorry, we can't ring it up for you." I'm like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
It blows my mind that there's a minimum,
right.
like a $10 minimum at a deli.
My dry cleaner's got a minimum, but
Really?
but they're cool. Like they'll just tag. They're like, we'll just add it to your next one.
Yeah.
Until you hit the level. if
that's
you don't
where
have
for
cash.
the business owner, net zero comes in. So net zero, as of 2 quarters ago,
I like this.
the business owner cannot pass the fee along to the customer.
Right.
Now, customer is not so great for it, but it's only a couple cents per transaction.
Right.
But for the business owner, they're saving hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Depends on their volume and how much they're paying in fees.
Right.
But cuts all their fees out.
That would
And
make sense. And I meant to tell you because you told me about the service, which I think is pretty
it's amazing.
cool.
It's helping so many business owners out.
And I think I want to say I was at Surf Taco, and they actually had a
We
sign.
do Surf Taco.
Okay, so they had a sign that said, "We offer savings to our cash customers. We just want to let you know it's not available if you choose to use a card," or something like that. So they were passing it along.
Yep.
And they had a way to
They're-
explain it that made sense.
I was
you know?
just gonna ask that. If I'm buying a $10 6-pack or whatever, and I'm gonna see that it goes up by
Like, dude.
yeah, I'm gonna see that it goes up a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna stop me from buying the beer.
Right.
So are any employers or any small business owners hesitant on this because
Absolutely.
yeah, because of the
Absolutely.
reaction?
I mean, I was hesitant on it.
Yeah.
When I first got introduced to the program, I'm like, what are the customers gonna think?
Right.
And I mean, if I'm in a shop and it's a couple cents more, I don't think I would like walk out or anything like that. And that's what a lot of our business owners are seeing, that nobody's walking out.
Right.
It just gives them the incentive to pay with cash.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, it's they see the sign right on the register, so to be compliant, it's got to be on the
I was
receipt.
gonna okay.
And there's got to be a sign saying there's a non-cash adjustment. So
Okay.
everything on our menu,
Right.
that's a cash. That's the cash price. But if
Yeah.
you choose to pay with a credit card, it's a little bit more, a couple
Okay.
cents more.
That's cool.
But yeah, a lot of our pizzerias and everything, they were kind of worried about what the customers would think.
Yeah.
And Dominic, actually down in Dominic's Pizzeria in Point Pleasant,
Mhm.
he was pretty worried about it. And then all of a sudden, I live with him at the gym at Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
And he's like, use me as a guinea pig. Like, tell all your customers, all your clients, come to me if they have any issues on what they think the customer would think about it.
Right.
None of my customers say a thing.
Well, I guess if you do it like Surf Taco as well, where you're putting a nice disclaimer on the door,
Right.
then
Yeah,
you don't
well,
feel like your company, the business you're going to is trying to pull a quick one.
No,
It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
all right, it makes
Yeah.
sense. They're running a business. It's a couple cents. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one, it seemed to be a good explanation.
Yeah.
So that's
Exactly.
that's funny that it's your company, because I was going to tell you about that one. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. All right, so when you're not out pimping processing, what else do you do in your spare time?
Well, we were actually talking. We had a one-on-one over at
High voltage.
High Voltage.
Yeah.
That's right. So I kind of left something out that basically what I do every single day. I wake up at 4 every morning,
Really?
and I drive Uber.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, man. So I take everything I make from that,
Nice.
and I've built up a nice book of business of people going up to the airport, and either going to the ferry and everything like that, and I charge them like $10 less than Uber would be paying them,
Yeah.
or they'd be charging them, and I take all that and I'm putting that into real estate.
Nice.
So after I'm done driving at like 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll go home, make breakfast, go to the office,
Right.
take care of business, go meet business owners and everything like that. And then I hit the gym, and then I'm done for the day.
That's
Wow.
cool. So
Yeah,
you
man.
enjoy being on the road? We get any good road stories?
That's why I listen to all these podcasts.
Right.
That's why I said when I was on the road, I was driving somewhere. I'm thinking like I got to start a podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
So I met a mortgage guy at a real estate event, and he's like, me and my wife had a kid. He's like, everyone goes to bed at 8 o'clock. Like, my wife's asleep, the kids are all asleep, and he's like, for the last 6 months, I sat in the basement and I've watched every movie known to man. And he's like, I was going stir crazy. So he signed up to be a Lyft driver, or he was an Uber driver, and he went out. Like, everyone hit the sheets at 8. He was out on the street driving. He's like, I needed interaction with people, and he told me the funniest stories. I'm like, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
I signed myself up. So I'm like, dude, you inspired me. I'm gonna go out and drive around a little bit too, because I got drive my daughter somewhere. I'm like, let me throw the light on and see who's out around.
Oh, yeah.
So I did it for a while too. It was pretty funny.
Anybody that complains about that is
Yeah.
crazy
Right.
because it's such easy money. You're sitting on your ass, driving people around.
Right.
I meet so many business owners from that.
Yeah.
People that refer me business, and obviously I split the
Right.
revenue with them. I like to pay people for referrals.
Right.
So it's just an awesome avenue
It
to
is
make
cool.
money and put that into real estate, which is my baby.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
So that's
And yeah, that's a huge part that you missed out of on
I know,
one-on-one.
I
Yeah.
know, I know.
That's awesome. I
I
didn't
That's
know
kind of
really
left
funny.
that because I figured like we're gonna be talking about everything on this podcast.
Yeah,
that
it's
we
good to
talked
say. It's
about.
good to save
I
stuff.
didn't feel like
Yeah.
Get a couple nuggets.
you hear everything and then hear it again a couple days later. So.
That's one of the things that Ming taught us at the class. It's
That's
like
right.
if you have a good conversation coming up but you have a podcast
Uh-huh.
lined up, just stop it and save it for the conversation.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I remember that.
Totally.
But yeah, it's something good to put in the Uber, and what I do is, I learned this from The Rock. You guys know The Rock.
Yeah.
Everyone knows The Rock. What he does is what's up?
No, this is great. So The Rock says to me, Stefanos, here's what I want you to do.
He told me this a couple months ago. We were talking on the phone. No. So with his philosophy is he puts his back against the wall every single day.
Right.
He acts like he's got nothing, and he has this $7 productions, and he started with $7 in his pocket. He's got a whole story just like everyone else.
That's sweet.
But he was talking to the Los Angeles Lakers. He had like a speech for the team,
Right.
and he's like, "What I do every single morning, I wake up." And he points to the wall. He's like, I put my back against this motherfucker.
Right.
Every day. Every single day. And acts like he's got nothing at all. And that's what I do. And everything that I make from Priority,
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Well, actually, that's what I live on.
Right.
But with Uber, it's nothing.
So what are your investment plans? What do you want to do?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. But before I answer that, I wanted to ask you guys what your...
Here we go again.
Yep. I run this thing.
Yeah.
Nah, what's your definition of success? Not like a copy and paste thing, but
Yeah.
like what's Mike's definition of success?
All right. So I'm really big on two things. One, right? It's my brand. So I want to be known. I want to be the go-to guy.
Exactly.
If people think of me first when they think of a mortgage, I'm hitting success levels, and that's in all circles of friends and peers and colleagues and everything else. For me though, it's also family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I got a quote on my arm that I kind of geared towards what my dad always taught me is, for those to whom much is given, much is expected.
Right.
Right. So I'm first generation American. So all three of me and my two other siblings all went to college. Neither of my parents went to college. That's like the first tier. So now I have to make sure my boys do what we did and more.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of how you just build the American dream. So just making sure I provide those foundations.
Kind of like paying it forward, but with
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah. It's so success to me isn't me hitting X amount of dollars a year. It's me making sure I do what I need to do for the years in the future to provide for my kids so they could do more than what I did.
Cool.
So
Love it.
Yeah.
How about Evan?
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's a combo of what Mike said. Like, for one is, I think, being happy with what you do. I think if you're happy every day, you're successful. There's a dude named Michael Alago.
That sounds familiar.
He signed Metallica back in the day.
Okay.
So he's a successful A&R guy. There's a movie out about him called, I think it's like Who the F is That Guy, or Who the F is That Kid, or something.
It's on Netflix,
It's
right?
on Netflix. And he posted something interesting on Instagram, and he was like, all these people say, oh, it's, what's today? Same old shit, basically, right? And he said, no,
Different
like
toilet?
every day's different, right?
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
single day is unique and a gift in some way, right? So I think if I could keep that kind of mindset, like, I'd be successful probably. Like, if I appreciate that every day is something, because literally, even if I go to the same office every day is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think being like aware of that and enjoying, like, walking through Asbury, is a sweet place to walk on the way to the office, and appreciating that, or booking out for 5 minutes and heading up to the boardwalk to just, you're literally in a one of a kind place, We're very, very lucky. And then I
Super
think,
lucky.
and I think
That's the
part of
whole
it
thing.
too is with having kids, like, I think a lot of your success is tied to them, right? If I raise good kids, if they're happy, like coming home and just having a chill conversation with like a 3-year-old kid is
the best,
hilarious,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if that kid's happy, loves you and hugs you and says, oh, you're the best dad ever, like then I'm successful. You know, I think that's cool.
You guys are lucky to really have had kids already, and you get to experience that. I'm not anywhere near those goals yet.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just getting started with my girlfriend, but
Whoa, easy. That's not this kind of
we're
program.
Yeah. But yeah, I love those definitions. I mean, happiness is everything.
Right.
Money isn't everything, but it sure makes it easier
Yep.
Yeah.
to have a good life. And
You definitely need it, in my opinion. I think you need a certain amount of money if we're living in New Jersey and you like to eat out and all that. You need to have a job. You need to have income, but
Right.
it's not the foundation.
no,
Yeah.
no, but it
By any means.
definitely makes it easier, and
Yeah.
it's good to have to reach your goals, especially if you want to get back. Like
Yeah.
that's my ultimate. Like I'm taking priority, putting that everything I make from that and Uber into real estate, and from real estate, my main goal by 35 is to own 1,000 doors.
Yeah.
So after that, I want to put that into what Tony Robbins does. He feeds millions of mouths
Right.
a year, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, by 35,
How old are you now?
I'm 24.
All right.
Yeah, so 11 years.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Just want to. You guys know who Grant Cardone is?
We were just talking about him with Julio.
Yeah.
The man. The man. He had 10x.
So he's your
got a 10x everything.
so he's your real estate guru.
Yeah, him and Cole Hatter. I don't know if you know, but I basically signed up for his course and everything, learned
Right.
it online, and that's how I got into real estate a year ago,
Cool.
and learned everything I had to know about real estate from him. Bigger Pockets, reading online, YouTube books, reading books,
So where do you want to invest?
anywhere.
Right.
Right now, I'm working with two investors. Pretty big investors around here.
Mhm.
And what I did, I met them at a real estate networking group
Right.
in Asbury, and basically I knew one of them, Mike. I knew he was pretty big right now in real estate, and so I approached him. I was like, "What do you need right now? I know you can always improve and everything like that, but I'm willing to work under you and do whatever you need me to do,
Right.
as long as I can learn under you." And basically, that's how I'll get my first deal, because I want to go into it with the least amount of not that I'm afraid of failure, but
Right.
you don't if you can avoid it.
Why
Yeah,
not?
Why
yeah,
not?
absolutely.
Why not?
Right.
So that's in about 6 months, I'm gonna get my first deal with them. I'm gonna go in a JV with them after acquiring all these deals for them and
That's cool.
basically doing the marketing. But anything that doesn't fit their criteria, I'm gonna wholesale.
Right. And where are those guys doing deals? Monmouth? All
They're
over?
really looking in Neptune right now.
Right.
I pointed out to them Eatontown, like you were mentioning.
I think that's the
other day.
next
Yeah.
hotspot.
Eatontown's
next
big,
horizon.
and they already really have been looking into Eatontown too. Mike lives up in Hazlitt,
Mhm.
so he's looking in that area, Middletown.
Right.
We actually just found a deal in Middletown that we're gonna go look at on Wednesday.
Nice.
Nice.
Actually, tomorrow's Wednesday. So
Yeah.
go look at it tomorrow.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
man.
I think just to boost your earnings, you should charge those guys and drive them to look at properties.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll flick the Uber
And plug
out.
the money back into the process, man. That's cool.
It's a great idea. I might actually do that.
Awesome.
So what other stuff do you like to do?
Love music.
Okay.
I mean, we were over at Lake House. I don't have the time for it.
Do you play drums?
I
Or
learned.
you wanna learn how
I
to play drums?
literally learned that day.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
growing up back in high school, me and my boy used to play rock band
Did you?
in the basement. So he played guitar, I played drums.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't have AC in my basement, and this is midsummer,
Yeah.
like 90 degrees. We're sweating our ass off, just jamming out. And I'm
Rocking.
like, I want to play drum. Like I've been a huge John Bonham fan
Right.
growing up,
Nice.
and he's the best.
So, just for your own reference, I'm in a no experience adult band over at the Lake House Academy. Probably
Bless
bless you.
There it is.
Oh, thank you.
So I've only been literally never played bass before in my life. Walked in, picked it up, and then they started teaching us. Shout out to Natalie from Well Wisher for taking me under her wing. But so we're rehearsing one day, and I see Stefanos walking through the hallway,
Jason.
like, flashed me like the horns, like so he was going in to play drums. It was
Yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah.
And, I mean,
That's awesome.
I picked it up pretty quick just because, like, the rhythm, you have that from Rock Band and everything.
Right.
From Rock Band. I love
yeah.
that.
Dude,
Rock Band.
That is probably where this generation has learned, about music.
That in YouTube.
Right.
me and my girl
Totally.
just moved into our new apartment, so I want to get Rock Band again.
That's
just
cool.
for the living room.
Yeah.
And just jam that again. I
Right.
miss that. But
I'm sure she'll be pretty excited with the development.
She could sing.
That's
she'll,
cool.
she'll do the sing. I'll invite my boy over. He can play guitar.
Nice.
We'll set up our own band. But I want to get into Lake House and really do it. I just don't have the time right now.
Right.
Like, so much time is being put into business.
Yep.
And everything. Like, I simply just don't have the time. Right.
Right. So you go out and do networking also?
Yeah. Legit.
You focus on real
Greatest
estate?
networking group in New Jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, I love our group.
Yeah.
It's
we got
it's
a solid crew.
very personable. It's not like old people going into a room and
Yeah.
trying to pass business and they're really old school.
Yeah.
Us, we're all just generically friendly and
Right.
get that group text. We going paintballing or what?
I'm trying to get that going. I'm thinking September.
Oh, this week.
Yeah, go down the paintball arena in Jackson.
Nice.
Ming, you in? Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Nice.
Let's go. Yeah,
Cool.
I would love to.
All right. Anything else you want to promote before you split out of here?
Not really.
No?
Not really.
All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming in and
Appreciate
asking
it,
us the tough questions as well.
That was the
Yeah,
first
man.
time.
That was good.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm the only one that did that?
All right. No one cares about us, man.
You guys are always asking the questions. I figured
That's
I might
right.
as well flip it real
Yeah.
quick.
That's cool.
I
All
like
right.
that.
Once again, Stefanos Koursaris, thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
Check out
guys.
Stefanos
Honors.
online at trusttheprocessing.com. He's got a Facebook business page at Trust the Processing and Instagram. Right now, you can find him at the name is _Stefanos, Stefanos. And then he's going to be launching at Trust the Processing.
Before we go,
Yes.
like you said, I'm going to be launching all that. Working with a social media company right now that's outrolling all my social media. They're going to follow me around with a camera and everything, and they're building up my website right now. And what I want to do on that is basically, like you said, you want to become the face of the mortgage industry.
Mhm.
I want to be the face in the entire nation of the credit card processing industry.
Mhm.
Nobody's really doing it
Right.
yet. And on the side, I want to be that avenue for up-and-coming real estate investors where I'm just getting started in this. I haven't even done a deal yet. But I want people to be able to see, like when I'm 35 and I have all these doors, that this is where he started.
Yeah.
Right.
These are the failures he went through. These are the successes that he experienced.
That's cool.
I can follow that, and I'm going to create a YouTube channel and everything, and they'll
Awesome.
be able to see everything I went through
That's cool.
from
So before we
A to Z.
put this podcast out on iTunes, we'll touch base, make sure we got everything, and then we'll post it up there.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
it's
this was
been
fun.
great.
So you can like start a show like was it like processing in cars with dudes or something?
Something like that.
Something like that. That'd be pretty cool. So I mean, is one of the biggest developments you're going to talk about in terms of processing, like the whole idea of passing processing fees on to?
Yeah,
Is that like the biggest
that's
development in
huge.
the industry?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, in the next year and a half, you're going to start seeing every small to medium-sized ticket business doing this.
Right.
And a lot of businesses are catching on to it now. Like I said, saving thousands of dollars. And it's incredible. They can put that right back into their business.
Right.
Or if they don't put it in their business, just buy you a car.
Yeah.
Just got you a car lease or helping you out in your mortgage
Right.
every single month.
I didn't even ask, but I mean, do you guys do crypto processing also?
No.
Or is it?
no.
You think it's going to start or?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. I've looked into it a little bit, but we're not doing that right
Sweet.
now.
I got a wallet full of worthless coins.
Yeah.
I'm looking to pedal somewhere.
Put that right in there.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I've definitely been looking into that and everything, and I'm not much of a stock guy.
Right.
Not much of a I'm gonna put money into an index
Mhm.
and just compound the interest
Right.
and all that, but I'm not gonna trade stocks or anything like that.
Yeah.
Focus on property.
Focus on property, something I could touch.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
something I know that's there and that's gonna appreciate over time. But the index fund, I mean, you just compound interest; it's always gonna go up.
Right.
So, but that's
Yeah.
my plan, guys.
Cool. All right, Stefanos, thanks for coming by. Once again, I'm Evan Balmer. You can find me on Instagram at Evan Balmer.
Mike Murcia. You can find me on Instagram at mortgageguy_Mike, and you can find the MulletCast on Facebook at the MulletCast. Dude, this was fun.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Guys.
Thanks, Stefanos.
Honored.